Socrates is often celebrated as the father of Western philosophy, but for Nietzsche, he was the beginning of its downfall. Not because Socrates lacked intelligence, but because his philosophy represented a deep hostility to life itself. Nietzsche saw Socrates as a turning point, where instinct gave way to reason, where strength was replaced by self-denial, and where the tragic worldview of the ancient Greeks was destroyed by a new moral dogma disguised as logic. Socrates didn't just introduce reason into philosophy, he weaponized it against life. He was obsessed with dialectic, endless questioning, logical refutation, the pursuit of universal definitions. But Nietzsche asked, why? Why this obsession with pinning everything down? The answer to him was psychological. Socrates wasn't pursuing truth, he was hiding from life. His relentless questioning was not strength, it was fear. Fear of chaos, fear of instinct, fear of the body. Nietzsche believed that Socrates' emphasis on reason came from a place of inner weakness. A man disconnected from instinct, alienated from the senses, physically degenerate. And Nietzsche didn't just guess, he pointed to the historical accounts. Socrates was notoriously ugly. His features were misshapen, almost grotesque. For Nietzsche, this ugliness was not superficial, it was symbolic. The physical body reflected the spiritual decay. A man who hated his body would naturally turn to abstract ideals. He couldn't embrace life, so he sought to transcend it. And what did Socrates preach? That virtue is knowledge, that evil is ignorance, that no one willingly does wrong. In other words, that the soul can be corrected by reason. Nietzsche saw this as a massive lie. People don't do evil because they're confused. They do evil because they are alive, because they are driven by power, instinct, desire. To reduce life to a moral equation was, to Nietzsche, a crime against its existence. Before Socrates, the Greek world was Dionysian, tragic. It embraced chaos, suffering, contradiction. It didn't explain the world, it danced with it. But Socrates, and later Plato, began the moralization of existence. They replaced the tragic spirit with a rational structure. They told us that there is a higher world, a realm of perfect forms, and that this world, our world, is a flawed copy. Nietzsche saw this as the original sin of Western thought, the devaluation of reality. This wasn't just an abstract disagreement. Nietzsche believed that Socrates was the beginning of nihilism, because once you separate truth from life, once you say that the real world is elsewhere, you create a void, a world where instincts are evil, where strength is suspicious, and where reason is everything. That's not a philosophy of life. That's a philosophy of decay. Even Socrates' death confirmed this for Nietzsche. He drank the hemlock calmly, accepting the verdict of the state, dying in accordance with his rational principles. But Nietzsche didn't admire this. He saw it as the final betrayal of life. Socrates chose principle over passion, order over instinct, obedience over revolt. In that moment, Nietzsche saw not a hero, but a martyr of weakness. Everything Nietzsche despised in Western culture, its guilt, its moralism, its hatred of strength, he traced back to Socrates, to the man who taught us to doubt our instincts, to distrust passion, to value the soul over the body. Nietzsche didn't just disagree with Socrates, he saw him as the origin of a spiritual disease, a turning point where humanity stopped affirming life and started apologizing for it.